You've got Letitia James in real time imploding, if you would. I would say, one, she's making bad decisions, right? The state of New York is not going to appreciate that she's standing up for the guy that's the pro-Hamas supporter. So that's a bad idea. Two, they're not going to love that she's like, okay, I'm going to defend all the IRS agents. That's a bad idea. And then you've got the reality that, I think the woman is just a bad lawyer. Very, very bad lawyer. Political as the day is long, right? But a bad lawyer. She thought that she could actually take the assets of Donald Trump. She did take nearly $500 million, $500 million from him. She thought she could actually go in and take Trump Tower, this, that, and the other, because he had a different view of what his property was worth compared to her. She thinks Mar-a-Lago's $18 million. I told you I'd buy it for that.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
I remember that. I think it's important to revisit it every now and then, because this is a woman who just is so rabidly political. I mean, look, when you look at where we are now, guys, we didn't get here in a vacuum. We got here because you had Hillary Clinton's law firm, Perkins Coie, hiring Fusion GPS, a bunch of ex-Wall Street Journal investigative reporters, that then went out and hired an ex-British spy, who then went and hired some people that actually our government suspected of being Russian spies to put together a piece of garbage, that so-called dossier. You had Hillary Clinton right before the election in 2020 saying Biden should hold on for dear life, that he could not give up no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. So they had every intention of fighting this. You have now, we have learned, thanks to Doge, hundreds of millions of dollars that were going to efforts to preserve their side of things. I mean, so again, all of this is happening. And now, what choice, honestly, what choice, if you want to preserve the country for the future, what choice do you have other than to come out and say, okay, Letitia James, you are obstructing justice. When you don't allow for ICE to be able to do its job, you are in the way of what we are trying to accomplish. The very, very clear thing that we can accomplish as a federal government, right, which is to control the borders and control who's here, you're in the way of that. And so this is why Pam Bondi is filing charges against New York and specifically against one Letitia James.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
Yeah. In other words, you got to get your priorities straight. Letitia has been charged with obstruction of justice here. And ultimately, what do I think is going to happen? I think she's going to get disbarred. I really do think so, because I think that she went over the line in terms of how she attacked Donald Trump. I also think that she runs the risk of criminal prosecution here because she is not on the side, if you would, not on the side of the American people and of the state of New York. You know, what's crazy is that Democrats didn't used to be like this. I mean, this is all new. We went and dug up some sound of Democrats back in the day. I mean, whether you're talking Obama, whether you're talking Hillary Clinton, whether you're talking Joe Biden from way back when, there was a time when nobody actually believed in illegal immigration. So what changed? Here.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
Check my sunglasses. It is really bright here. I'm not kidding. Anyway, that was back then, right? I mean, even Obama was all about, we can't have illegal immigration. So what the heck happened? Meanwhile, what the heck happened to the stock market? You guys watching this today? Really kind of just wild day. And the media, of course, loves it. We are off the lows of the session. We had been off as much as 600-700 points, I think, earlier in the day. I actually tried to get in and buy at that moment. However, I was also putting the show together, so a few too many things to do today. But you know, these are the opportune times in my estimation, especially if you're a long-term holder, which I am. We got the Dow off nearly 400 points right now. The S&P trading down about 0.5%. Nasdaq is actually higher, so you see a recovery from what we saw in yesterday's market, with the Nasdaq up about 0.2% at this moment. You know, if you're trying to make sense of this, Rob and I put out a note yesterday. Rob is my co-founder at 76 Research, my financial research company, and we put out a note yesterday just trying to remind everybody, you know what, the media has their own bias going on in this, and you kind of need to be thinking long term and clearly about what really matters and what the future really is going to be. Now, Donald Trump upset some people because he talked about doubling down on tariffs. You have to understand what is rhetoric, what is real, and what ultimately some of these things really mean for the U.S. economy. I mean, in the case of some of these Canadian companies that he's talking about putting tariffs on, they're really not that relevant in the scheme of things, not relevant overall. I mean, I was talking to Rob earlier about this, and he was like, you know, Canadians on the Canadian aluminum and steel do nothing but, sure, create a little bit of disruption. However, these are not massive hits to the U.S. economy. Canadian aluminum and steel exports are some $35 billion a year, so it's like a $9 billion tariff. They're small sums. It's like 2 months of spending of USAID. USAID is the big one to get. But nonetheless, you know, this gives the media an excuse. And so I encourage you to go get the newsletter, use code word dollar. We have 3 portfolios for you there as well if you want to invest in specific names. All of them, by the way, are beating the market rather significantly, but it's because we're choosing things that aren't getting as hit in this environment. So I encourage you to do that. Again, it is the 76research.com handle. You can get the newsletter there. Use code word dollar, just $1 a month for the first 2 months.